Okay, who is the number one, number two in world rugby? It's time to have a look at the hooker on the player power rankings. This is my effort to try and track talent and form over time. The last time I did it was just after the Rugby World Cup. And so 7 months later, with club seasons under the belt, with international rugby to varying amounts under the belt, let's have a snapshot now of the top 10 players in this position, as I will be doing every single position on the player power rankings. And just to reiterate, as I did yesterday, I'm taking into account current form and recent form, so what's happened since the Rugby World Cup. I'm also taking into account historic form, and that should mean that the top 10s don't vary too wildly over time. And thirdly, a little bit of gut feeling as well. And I want to know your feelings in the comments down below. Thank you very much for watching. I'm Tim, and this is Egg Chasers, and it is just me on this channel. I have no marketing budget, so I'll tell you what, one thing that doesn't take you any time, doesn't cost you any money, but helps apparently. Don't ask me how, but it helps. Give the video a thumbs up. It will skew the algorithm so people actually who don't even know I exist will find the channel and help enjoy this this rugby content. If you enjoy it as well, hit subscribe on the channel. So in this top 10, there are 3 players that are going up positions, 6 players that are going down positions, 1 player staying where they are, 1 player dropping out of the top 10 because there is 1 new face in the top 10. The player dropping out is Jamie George. There is no Englishman on the top 10, which pains me to say, but that's where I see that things are right now. That's a talking point all in its own. There's lots of talking points though, and let's get on with the top 10. At number 10, Samisoni Taukei'aho, down 1 spot from 9 last time. Shame he missed the Super Rugby final, isn't it, for the Chiefs? He had such a good Super Rugby season, and I was really interested to see how Scott Robertson would use Samisoni, because he was kind of used in small bursts by Ian Foster, given 20 minutes at the end of games, and he had a lot of impact. But you just wondered, with a little bit more game time, what could this guy do on the international stage? Injury meant that we didn't get to see that against England yet. Enough credit in the bank, though, that he stays in the top 10 for me. Number 9, Ronan Kelleher. I'll tell you the biggest surprise when knocking this list together. Ronan Kelleher's 26. I had him down as much older than that. He's just been around for so long. And just because he is second choice for club and country, do not let that fool you into thinking anything other than he is a serious rugby player. I've got a lot of time for Ronan Kelleher, and I'll tell you what, that second test against South Africa in Durban, when he started because of an injury to Dan Sheehan, demonstrated just what a good player he is. I think he played 65 minutes, and he was exceptional. Just an all-round athlete. Plays like a back row player, but got the set piece to go with it, like modern hookers have to. He is brilliant. At number 8, leapfrogging both of those first 2, though, Dewi Lake, who's maybe, I mean, he's up there with one of the best 2024s of any hooker in the world. He's been absolutely brilliant. So he's into the top 10 at Jamie George's expense. And Wales do not have a lot of positives to shout about. Dewi Lake is one they can feel very good about, because he is an automatic selection for his country. And he's also one of only very few Welsh players who will be in the mix for a test spot for the British and Irish Lions next summer. He's playing himself right into contention. He's been brilliant. So fair play, Dewi Lake. Young guy as well, 25 years of age. Wales have 1 position completely nailed down. Ahead of him, but dropping down, is Julian Marchand. Just like Ronan Kelleher, second choice for club and country. But again, that's a very good country and a very, very good club. But for Toulouse and for France, he is now second choice behind Piato Malvaca, but is an amazing player. His breakdown work is right up there with the very best. The jackling ability of Julian Marchand, carrying, set piece, he's got it all. And do you remember just how devastated the French rugby fans were when he went down in that first Rugby World Cup game 10 minutes in? You know, everyone thinks about Malcolm Marx and how devastating that injury was in the first pool match for South Africa. It was the same with him. That is how good this guy is, and he is brilliant. I love him. And yeah, Julian Marchand, only 29. He's got a lot of rugby to play. Leapfrogging him though to number 6 is Codie Taylor. Only 4 games for the Double Dongs, Crusaders. It's what their logo looks like. Anyway, don't need to go into that. He didn't play much for the Double Dongs, but he showed enough playing against England that he is comfortably New Zealand's first choice hooker. Like I say, Taukei'aho, be interesting to see how he gets used when he's fit and available. But I just love it. Like, name a more iconic duo than Codie Taylor and running in those 5-metre tram lines on the side of a pitch. He's 33, so he's coming towards the end of his career. but he's so good. He's just hard and really athletic. I've got a lot of time for Cody Taylor. He's being pushed by Armua and Tauke Aho, but he's still the number one for New Zealand for me. Bongi Mbonambi, the one player on the top 10 list that is staying exactly where he is, just like Cody Taylor, 33 years young, but has had a brilliant year. Rugby World Cup, obviously. And then, well, for the Sharks, well, actually it's been a disastrous season for the Sharks in the URC, but they won themselves the Challenge Cup. And Bongi Mbonambi at the forefront of that, and he'll be playing in the Champions Cup next season, which is exactly where someone of his talent needs to be, deserves to be. And whilst there's some injuries to Malcolm Marx, what a guy to have to just... I mean, even when Malcolm Marx has been fit against Ireland, he's been the number one for the world champions. He's my number 5. Julian Montoya is at number 4, the Argentinian skipper, and what a player. Probably the most robust hooker in World Rugby. I mean, look at his stats for this season. He's played 24 matches and he started every single one of those 24 matches. And of those 24 games, 12 of them, so half the matches he's played, he has played 70 minutes or more of that match. That's unheard of for front row players. I think there's about 5 or 6 games where he played the whole match. And that speaks to, yes, how robust he is, but just how important Julian Montoya is for his club, Leicester Tigers, and his country, Argentina. He is an outstanding player. He is dropping down one spot though, but then, as you'll see, he's not alone because Malcolm Marx dropping down one spot. Now, it says everything about Malcolm Marx and just how good he is, that he has played as little rugby as he's played, and he's still at number 3 in my top 3 list. A big part of that is, like I say, I take into account historic form, not just current form, because otherwise Malcolm Marx wouldn't even be in the top 10 right now because he has had rotten luck with injuries. The opening pool match at the Rugby World Cup against Scotland, horror injury that meant he missed his whole club season for the Kubota Spears in Japan. Came back for South Africa. Didn't look himself in that Wales game, but it was his first game back. Looked more like himself against Ireland, but then another injury strikes and just cannot catch a break, this guy. But he is incredible. He was a game-changing guy. He's changed the position. Again, his breakdown threat, like so many others, is amazing. His ball carrying, he's more like a number 8. So good. And I can tell you, having just spent a few weeks in South Africa, they absolutely revere this fella. He's got a godlike status in South Africa. And I wouldn't be surprised if he can get a bit of luck with his fitness and get back playing. I wouldn't be surprised to see him back at the number 1 spot. He's at number 3 at the moment, behind Dan Sheehan, who's a Six Nations champion again. No medals for Leinster. Another runners-up medal for poor Dan Sheehan with his club. But for country, he is just absolutely exceptional. Started all 5 games for Ireland during the Six Nations Championship. Started that first test against South Africa. Was robbed of the second test by injury. But he has just been brilliant. A modern athlete. Again, much like Malcolm Marx and other players that I've mentioned. Plays like a back row. But has the fundamental skills to do a really good job at hooker. He is, he's only 25, I think. So, man, he's going to be around for a long time, and I imagine he'll be around at the very top of this list for a long time as well. But the number 1, in my mind, as it stands, number 1, the best, number 2 on the planet in the player power ranking, Peato Mauvaka. What a year he's had. Absolutely incredible. Now, I mentioned Julien Marchand and that injury in the first match of the Rugby World Cup, and the devastation that French fans were feeling, one of their key players out. It says everything that Peato Mauvaka meant that they did not miss Julien Marchand. More than that, he took his opportunity and was the best hooker at the Rugby World Cup. And he has now absolutely nailed on the first choice hooker for France and for Toulouse. The all-conquering Toulouse side, he started every single one of their 8 Champions Cup games in going on to win the title. And he was the number 1 hooker in a successful top 14 defence as well. And he is the outstanding choice for France at hooker. He is amazing. Ferocious ball carrier. It's like a bull. Rhino. And his set pieces is very good. In fact, I think he's actually played international rugby as a back row player. He's been brought on at flanker for club and country. So that says everything about the type of player Peato Mauvaka is. He is, for me, comfortable first choice. So that is the top 10 right there. Pretty good list, isn't it? What do you reckon? Let me know in the comments down below. very interesting to see that you've got Julian Montoya of Argentina, you've got Dewi Lake for Wales, and other than that, you have got the first choice and the second choice for the top 4 teams on earth. That, I think, speaks volumes about just how important this position is, and also just how important it is to have someone almost or even just as good as your starting player coming off the bench in an 80-minute game. And France, Ireland, New Zealand, South Africa, they all have that. And I don't think it's any coincidence that the teams that have that sort of depth and quality are the teams that are the best in the world. There you go. There, as for players that could be appearing on the top 10 in the not too distant future, very impressed by Grobelaar for South Africa. He looks a real talent. Asafo Amua as well, has got some potential. Jamie George, I'm sure, would be disappointed that he's not on the top 10 list. Do you disagree with me and think he should be? And when you look at the British and Irish Lions tour, you've got Sheehan, Lake and Kelleher as 3 hookers. Probably 4 will get taken on a Lions tour. Would Jamie George be that 4th choice? Or is there someone else coming through that you think might actually take that spot? Be an interesting one to watch, won't it? Let me know in the comments down below. Hit subscribe, and I'm going to be releasing one of these videos, the player power rankings for every position, every day at 6 p.m. UK time. So that's every single day at the same time, so that by the time it finishes, the last one will come out on Friday the 9th of August, which will be the day before the Rugby Championship starts. So filling this little 15-a-side rugby void, I'm going to go and get myself settled in to go and watch some Rugby Sevens now, and there'll be videos on that coming in the channel as well. So yeah, hit subscribe, leave your comments, see you on the next one.